Oh, 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 oh. Welcome to your monthly water tribe report, baby. This is the peace dealer. This is for Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Can you guys confirm for me in the comments? Is it just me or are people salty? Let me not say people, because when I say people, you might think I mean like my experience with other people. I'm just saying in general. Do you feel the energy? Does it feel like salty? Does it feel bitter? Because you could be feeling great. Maybe you're feeling like amazingness in the air. Maybe you're feeling like happy. I'm not saying you feel bitter or miserable, but just this sense where like people are a lot more on edge. People are like trying to pick apart more. Nothing that doesn't already happen and hasn't already been happening. But I just this is the word that's coming through. Salty. And you know what's very interesting? Sour. It's like, do you feel this energy being projected at you too, of this sourness? Like people are on edge. And let me not say people, because I don't want you to project this experience on other people and start to try and like find and look for it. But like, yeah, just in case, sour I think is a really good word as well. Nasty. You ever feel someone just trying to pick anything they can to try and demoralize you, to trip up whatever? Anyway, I didn't plan this, but the moon is in Scorpio while we're doing this water tribe report, so I thought that was very interesting. These chips are salty. My Scorpio mom has been diabolical. Scorpios are born diabolical. That's what makes them pure haters. But Scorpio is also purity. I when I talk about Scorpio being pure evil, please don't think that I mean that every Scorpio is evil. It's just everyone who I know who's related to a Scorpio will openly say that their Scorpio relative is pure evil. But other than that being said, Scorpio is purity. Scorpio is purity. Okay, I have a younger sister too. Scorpio is purity. Okay, so the rare element of this zodiac sign makes it so that the purest Scorpios transform society, but it's also the sauciest zodiac sign. So once you get past Libra, the power that the sign contains exponentially raises in temptation. Like Capricorn is getting tempted as the devil card. Libra, Scorpio, like so many people want Scorpio. And Scorpio is one of those signs that probably get betrayed or sexually assaulted or molested. And these can now turn Scorpios to like dark people. And then you have that rare Scorpio who doesn't necessarily let that change them and turn them pure evil into Voldemort. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like Scorpio's whole character arc. Do they either like heal the world and transform anything, or do they become Charles Manson and just are like try to be experimented on by the government for their super psychic powers? But that being said, when Scorpio gives you that death stare, they are thinking about killing you. So just really feel like Virgo will give you the side eye, and then Scorpio will give you that death stare. They did think about killing you. So we'll talk about that later. No, because I know that some people are like, did they really think that you saw it? You felt it? They did. All right, don't worry. It's totally normal. I hate that I have to actually say that's totally normal. It's like a scorpion getting ready to sting you. But yes, we're going to go into the water tribe report. I didn't want to necessarily, and shout out to Milk Money. I didn't want to necessarily like put up this thing where you have to be paranoid and be like everyone's salty. This could be just like a weather pattern or something like that, and everyone's not salty. But I just wanted to put out in the air. The moon is in Scorpio, the sun is in Leo. Scorpio and Leo kind of have beef. They're family. But like, they be beefing sometimes in a way water and fire will be, right? And once the moon goes into Sagittarius, we'll feel Leo and Sagittarius's rivalry, which is why I was saying Sag really thinks they're what Leo is, and Leo thinks that Sag stole their style. So like, it's gonna be fun, but that we're getting through this turbulence. There are a lot of hurt, broken people. There are a lot of people who have everything they wanted to have and they still feel meaningless. They're still seeking meaning. They're on edge. It's not just on a surface level. It's not like, oh, money can't buy you happiness. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about like really having access to things in the world, really being sold a dream, really being sold a vision of what success is like. And it's not like they're not enjoying their success, but there's just this deep meaninglessness, this like misery that they have been in denial, and that's creeping out. This is collective. You have people who are paying off mortgages. You have people who were told their whole life they have to go to school. They got the job and everything. They're able to take care and provide, but a lot of what they were told are really just lies. A lot of the promises that might have worked in previous generations, they're having to inherit basically an unsustainable vision and ideal that was never really sustainable. And you'd be surprised how many thousands of disillusioned individuals all over the world are kind of breaking through into this. And as a result, you may expect a lot to be very salty. And then if you mix in an array of other complex issues that also integrate within their life, these are the mechanics with which, maybe, just maybe, they may now develop unconsciously a nasty attitude towards you, where many of you kind of embody or live certain characteristics that they can't necessarily stand, that you may not necessarily be in position near or close to them, but you might actually exhibit traits you're not aware of that they seek, that they have to be in denial and pretend isn't really that important, but it still on a subconscious level bothers them. Okay. Now, consciously, they may be in a position to now hyper fixate on things about you that they don't like because of their inability to look inside and really examine what it is that they're really feeling, with which they're not even conscious of this process that's happening. It's much easier to project on you what they don't like on you, something that only weak people do. Strong people build others up, and they hash out issues they have with other people, But that being said, yes, WLB syndrome. We're going in, guys. We're going in. This is the last tribe report. I was talking a lot of my shit in the air sign tribe because I'm gonna just make a tradition of talking air sign shit. Shout out to the air signs. But we get deep. We get deep when we talk with the water signs. This psychic warfare is really just a bunch of overgrown babies that, even with access to new abilities, doesn't really change the fact that they approach it immaturely, and now everything they do backfires on itself. Okay, so a lot of you have really kind of fought the good fight and not really distracted yourself enough to lose your focus. And there could be envy, there could be jealousy. Now, here's the thing. Much of this is purely unconscious. So for those of you who feel psychic attack, for those of you who feel energetic projections, you're feeling collective unconscious cycles and forces interact with your frequency. Okay. And to the extent with which maybe you are not aligned with that frequency, that's what opens you up to projection. It's something that's happening to everyone in the world in a myriad of different ways. And, this is what's applying a lot of the nature of the integrity of the work you've done, where people once again have built work off of seemingly lofty ideals that were never really sustainable, like at all. And at the other end, some of you could have pioneered roads or fields that may not necessarily seem like they're sustainable, but they're actually pivotal in getting you through these periods and times. And it's almost as if you're meant to bridge that into this, next era of the world, or the stage we're headed into. So I just wanted to really talk about these themes really quick, because A lot of this collective unconscious attack uh, doesn't necessarily make you a victim, even though it could feel like it. You're a threat. You want to think of it like you're an alien entity, and it's acting as an antibody. And this doesn't have to like shape and mold you, but you just want to approach it versus necessarily like getting too uh, caught up in what you're processing, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. And yeah, um this energy isn't necessarily just nasty. Like there's a whole range of what this quality is. The intensity of the nastiness, especially with the Pluto square, this is also a part of that boss battle. This Pluto square, it's the social collective pressure you're feeling. And this is where all of the work we've done up until this point was to build an individual base and foundation, one that's not shaken by the opinions of others, one that's not shaken by the nasty mudslinging of miserable, hopeless wastes of space, who can only, even at their best, still just be and act like a weak little bitch. Um, they can sling names at you, they can make fun of you, but they cannot hide what's in their soul that is actually causing them to project in the way they are. So I'm not going to say some shit like the battle's already won. We already know that. Um, this is where, now that we're integrating the cycle, you're going to see that seed breaking through the ground. You're going to see this foundational work break you through. And that's going to create more envy. That's going to create more jealousy, because a weak little bitch can only look up at the nuts that are being teabagged in their face, while you, who are probably doing the teabagging just with your own actions and integrity, continue to remain untouched. These things unconsciously and subconsciously create anxiety in those who need to feel leverage over you. And you're feeling this at a collective level. So I got you, Jill, because it's very deep. There's certain complex layers that are easy to look over, because you'll constantly be told, oh, it's just in your head, get over this. So no, let's actually break this down. Let's break this down. A lot of people are understanding that they're dying. There's no coming back. They're in denial. First is denial, right? Then it's pride. Then it's delusion. They've passed the pride stage. You're in the delusion stage. They're clinging on to an old world that's never really going to return. So if you really take too serious a lot of what's being projected at you, you're going to really focus on things that are entirely irrelevant, when realistically, real recognizes real. You don't have to argue that you're real. You have to focus on establishing your realness and let that speak for itself. So, of course, naturally, anyone in resistance to your frequency will continue to play their hand, and that unconscious anxiety will play out into their physical actions. That's all it is. That's where it's coming from. We want to really discuss these psychic dynamics when we talk about water signs. A lot of people conflate ignorance for coolness, and think that just because you're in denial about something doesn't make you automatically right about it. And just because you say the other person is in denial doesn't mean you still have to demonstrate it. So just keep that in mind. Victory onward and forward. Make it through this turbulence. It's a sign of magnanimous, miraculous growth. And a lot of that nastiness and a lot of that negativity is purely coming from miserable souls. The work that they do to pretend they're not miserable is betrayed by their own actions. That's why it's adorable. That's why it's funny. A pure soul does not spread misery, fear, and hatred. And I don't mean to sound like metaphorical, but just take that principle moving forward because it will simplify a lot of bullshit and it'll just key you into what's really happening. Anyway, the moon is going to oppose Uranus and Gemini. So prepare for some unexpected fuckery to just completely light up. Like the moon in Sagittarius series over the next like 7 years are going to be some of the most epic, magical revelations ever. Because now, of course, I did throw in magnanimous there. I didn't know if you would catch that. I did throw a magnet. It's a word now, nigga. It's a word now, bro. Okay. I did kind of throw magnanimous there. I didn't think anyone would kind of notice. But like it's cool. It is what it is. But that being said, okay. Misery loves company. I don't mean I know I'm not trying to give a lesson. I'm just it aligns with this because it's important to know because you can get caught up. But with that being said, the moon going into Sagittarius opposing Uranus every 2 weeks, right? Every month, really. It's going to radically exponentially like speed up your synchronization process. So you can look forward to that. It's gonna really you have to really be on guard. You expect the unexpected. But yeah, since Uranus is just in Gemini, this is just going to be happening as we step into the first degrees of the sign. The moon through the mutable signs is going to be fucking dope. All right. For better or for worse, of course. All right. I think I've said most of what I wanted to say. As far as psychic development is, a lot of this now is getting ready to break through the ground. So when I'm talking about you are breaking through your talent supernaturally, you really are breaking through your talent supernaturally. A 240-year Plutonian cycle since the 1700s, where Pluto was last in Aquarius, where now that it is back, this is the first of its kind in over 2 centuries. So over the next 20 years, you are going to be actively every August, relative from January to, of course, late July, where we go from Aquarius to Leo season, will be from that 180-degree opposition to 270-degree Sun-Pluto square, breaking through supernatural talents. So by Leo season, we've activated the 4 power range of Aries, Gemini, Cancer, Taurus, right? Of course, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer in that order. We're activating individuality. We integrate in Cancer. Boom, we break through in talents. This is a new boss battle sequence. And the thing about this is everything up until now, since this first time, you could not see. We were activating. Now the seed that you planted that you don't see break through the soil unless you have like technology to show you through it is breaking through the ground. So once we get into Sagittarius, you are going to be seeing the meaning of these talents, the expression of these talents. And that's where a lot of this envy and jealousy comes through. A lot of your brains are getting ready to tune and actually integrate the unique nature of your own abilities. And this is where the unconscious will attempt to slip you up and will attempt to perhaps shame, guilt manipulate you into not focusing on the development of these powers, inducing ridicule. So it's like, oh, why would you do that? They're afraid of you. They don't want you to tap into your shit. It's literally it's very grossly simplified. It's an unconscious response. It's a collective unconscious response to you now integrating outside of their control matrix. I don't want to like make it sound like a conspiracy, but if you look at it as just like a subconscious, unconscious response, it's no longer emotional. It's no longer personal. It's not you have a vendetta against me. It's no, they're just weak little bitches, guys. Like they're just scared of you. Just keep that in mind, focus, and this is going to really prepare for breakthrough when the moon goes in Aquarius, because this is going to really be one of the Leo season is all about canon, it's main character events, canon events, right? So this is going to really now moving forward simulate you experiencing through a moon in Sagittarius opposite Uranus and Gemini, this very innovative, supernatural understanding of, wow, I mean, I've had synchronicities, but I'm really breaking through. So relax. Because you're breaking through, this is where these dark forces are wanting to, of course, push you back because they're stupid little bitches. So they think that you could be touched. They think that a setback isn't going to actually push you forward. Like they're caught in the delusion of their idea of you. And this is where integrity is important, because a lot of how this unconscious force will work is it's going to take guilt within yourself. It's going to take shame within yourself. It's like being on X, right? People are going to look up your past and they're going to use that to try and judge you. Okay. But without trying to be over preachy or anything, I'm going to simplify it as this. Would you let a stupid, weak little bitch who is just insecure and miserable judge you or cite any reason for why they don't approve of you? Keep that in mind as you deal with people. And as respectfully as possible, I really do mean stupid, weak little bitches. I say that in a way where children watching, if you are any children watching, I don't believe in cursing or being vulgar. Okay. I don't think you should curse. But if someone is being a WLB, call them a WLB. Say, Mom, that person is being an SLB. Okay. And your mom will know what they mean. Your dad will know what they mean. It is what it is, because even these kids got to let these people know that we don't have time to be weak. All right. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to move on to Cancer. And why, once again, this is very significant is by the time we get to the full moon, you're going to know what's up, baby. And then we're going to have one of the most magical eclipses through Virgo of all time. Okay. The last thing I'll say is embrace your eccentricities. I think it's very pointless to actually care about what other people think is weird that you do unless they're ready to demonstrate that it's a problem. If people are willing to demonstrate, like actually press charges or actually do something about it, then you can handle it. If they just want to talk about it just so that they can mold and influence your behavior, just tell them to, I was going to say suck your, just tell them to, just tell them to suck your dick. I couldn't think of anything else. Just tell them to suck your dick. That's what I know that's very tasteless, but just really look at it and just tell them to do that. Okay, that's it. That's it. You don't have to say that. You can say that with your energy. And yeah, okay, lick your legs. I like that. I like that. Okay, so we're going to start with Cancer, the most gaslighted zodiac sign of all time. Not even. I used to gaslight my Cancer younger sister before I even knew what gaslighting was. But like, yes, it is what it is. The reason why Cancer instinctually gets gaslighted is due to their psychic awareness. Unlike Pisces suns, who have, actually moons too. Unlike Pisces that has extrasensory perception, meaning their perception is outside of the physical, and thus their sense is not limited by inductive or deductive reasoning. Cancer is a more emotional conscious awareness, which sounds really dumb, but we can say psychic awareness. Psychic pertaining to psyche, the power of the mind, right? Psychic awareness, being aware of more than just what the critical brain can rationalize and analyze through body language and just, behaviors and actions of your body. Cancer suns are psychic in that they are aware of an intangible element through you through the function of feeling. These motherfuckers can literally feel what you're feeling. And it's a hidden property and power that they love to hide. And one thing about Cancers and Libras, I'm going to talk my shit on the water signs, by the way, so I'm sorry. But Cancer and Libra think they slick. And this is, sorry, Cancer, I actually fuck with you, Cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really trying to like I'm going to snitch on Aquarius and Pisces shamelessly, and I don't care. Cancer, I'm not snitching on you like that because I get it. But like, you think you slick, my G. I have the Capricorn moon, so we understand y'all. We understand Cap. We understand how y'all do too. Libra swear they slick. Sagittarius is actually slick, and it's a problem. But like Cancer think they slick, y'all. Cancer understands that at a certain level they're psychic, and this is why they get gaslighted, because Cancer will ask you questions like a lawyer. They're going to ask you how you feel because they know you feel it. And then it's very easy to just be like, I don't feel that. No, that's just in your head. And then you just hold them. They do this at a very subtle level, at very micro exchanges. Okay, but let's be real. Cancer understands at a certain level they're psychic as fuck. So this is how they think they're slick. They're gonna do some shit where it's like the Cancer is 12th house Gemini too. So with this ability to feel feelings, they're also telepathic. They can read minds. Now, reading minds, I mean, most signs can read minds, but it's the way everyone can read minds, right? But the Cancer function as the psychic is tapping in directly to the feeling of what you're thinking, or just literally hearing what you're thinking, if they have air moons or whatever. So they can literally like know you're thinking, which is pretty fucking crazy, which is pretty weird. They can know you're thinking about coffee, and then while you're talking about the weather, they're gonna be like, yeah, by the way, I was thinking about drinking some coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you want to get that? And it's like, yo, I was just thinking about that. No way. Let's just go. Or you know what else they do, which they openly admit they do? They'll like implant and inception ideas in you. 12th house Gemini. So they'll be like, they'll talk indirectly about some shit, and then you'll have the idea of buying a Switch 2. But they suddenly put the Switch 2 box in front of them, and then they made you think that you thought you wanted to get them a Switch 2 or to get a Switch 2. Diabolical shit. But do you know what they say every time we talk about that? Or this is something that multiple different Cancer women and even some men, but mainly women, have said. And these Cancer women don't know each other, but they're like, yeah, we can emotionally manipulate people, but we emotionally manipulate people to bring out good traits for good. We're not like Scorpio, who emotionally manipulates them for evil. Now, this struck me as amazing because it's not like I brought up Scorpio. Multiple different Cancers say this. So like kind of how 50 goes on a crusade with Diddy. It's like, yeah, we're not Scorpio. Like, we don't be emotionally manipulating people for evil. And I mean, I've kind of seen this. Like, Cancer will kind of subtly like work on you unless they, you know what I'm saying? And then Scorpio will just mind control you and just completely like pick on your weaknesses. And just, it is what it is. Scorpio, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put you out to be the bad guy. You're not like Thanos or anything. But like, hold on. Okay, I've heard Cancer say this is the greatest shit ever, every time. Because then we just be like, I feel what you mean. I see what you mean. Yes, but like, y'all need to understand, Cancer is psychic, bruh. They're like specialist agents, and they can play dumb if they want to. So they really think they slick like that, which is just something like they'll understand some stuff psychically and then pretend that they didn't really like use psychic fucking powers to know what they talking. Just be careful. Libra is like that, but with superpowers. So be careful about them too. Like it is what it is. I don't want to talk about that yesterday. But yes. Okay, no. See, I'm not trying to expose Scorpio because I'm making Scorpio out to sound like they're a bad person. And they're actually very deeply insightful. It's just like 99.9% of them are like evil murderers that get away with all their crimes. Okay, I'm just joking. All right, this is I know the hate Gemini gets. I know the reputation Gemini has, so I shouldn't be like purporting stereotypes. But Scorpio, we're gonna go in on you. I'm just letting you know. Yes. Scorpio, we're gonna go in on you. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's only right because I'm spilling the beans about Aquarius, so we have to talk about Scorpio. Before we talk about Scorpio, Cancer, congratulations. It's your time. Last year, Jupiter went through Gemini and quite literally leveled the fuck up out of all the angels in Gemini. I will keep saying it. Kendrick, of course, with the rap battle, President Trump with the election. Okay, whether he on the list or not, I'm not coping or anything. I'm just enjoying the plot. The thing is, Cancer, it's your turn now. And I find it interesting. Cancers are in the news. People are talking about Shannon Sharp now, right? They weren't really talking about him when Jupiter was in Gemini. They actually were. And Elon Musk. But like now that it is in their sign, okay, you're going to see this expansion that, unlike the previous cycles, now having this square with Saturn and Neptune. So you guys are driving evolution. You guys with Venus now are driving, of course, beauty. The rock has been passed into your sign. When Venus is in your sign, you have like +5 attribute in beauty. Let's really act like this is an RPG. This is a role-playing game. All right. So like when planets go through your sign, which is the real cool thing about planet transits, it kind of equalizes the game mechanics so that no one sign gets all the advantage. They're going to go through a sign. So, you know, you can have negative attributes, positive attributes. When let's say you had a beauty stat, let's say you had like a abundance stat. When Venus goes through your sign, it's reinitiating the cycle. It's like passing go, collecting 200. You have a +5 beauty stat. It's not uncommon, right? It's, for example, I didn't plan it out this way, but Venus is over my progressed rising sign, and I just so happened to get a haircut. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I was like, oh, Venus is in my first, so I'm gonna get a haircut. No, it just so happened to naturally work out this way, and it's cool because now I can build and extend on that. Is it the planets that influence me to do that, or could we say, especially due to the Earth literally being a tuner and a Hummer, are we just resonating? Who knows? But that being said, this evolution is, of course, with Saturn and Neptune in Aries, anchoring this legacy you are quite literally meant to establish in the new world. And that's a very important theme to speak on. Aries, your 10th house psychologically, Cancer, your 10th house psychologically is Aries. Some of you Cancer risings have Pisces MCs that progress into Aries, or you have the Aries MC, but you're still going to have that 10th house psychologically. So the nature of what that means is Aries as your 10th house of reputation, because you embody sincerity, your success is originally attained. What that looks like is you're probably going to be the first to achieve something, especially in your family. You're probably going to be the first to actually mark something. You could be the 67th, you could be the 8th, but the way you do it is original. Okay. And this is cool. It's a square. Cancer, it's so funny. Cancer is always seen as the crybaby, but their legacy is the warrior. Like they have the highest percentage of homicides still to this day. It's cancers that are killing and murking people because they got that in the moment. So, you know, crabs have a tough shell, right? But that being said, Saturn is the 2.5-year construction contract that's completing the karmic cycle that began back in 2003 when Saturn was last in Cancer. In fact, let me actually just speak on that. And Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, I want you to comment a moon. If everything I was talking about in the beginning of the video around like feeling the evil energy and the saltiness, from 2008 to 2023, I want you to comment moon if you felt that, if you know what I'm talking about, if you feel like, oh yeah, a lot more people are evil and more narcissistic and sadistic and just possessed by darkness than ever because it was projected at you collectively, especially peaked 2020 to 2024. Okay. Is it limited to just cancers? No, I'm sure everyone processes it in their own way, but you know, just something to keep in mind. So I wanted to show you, of course, 2003. Boom, 2003, 2004, Saturn was in Cancer after this North Node Saturn Gemini conjunction. Why is the North Node Saturn Gemini conjunction very significant? Because we had the North Node and Saturn conjunction recently this March earlier. So just something to keep in mind. But 2003 was where we had, of course, Saturn in Capricorn. Okay, Saturn in Cancer, actually. Saturn in Cancer, as you can see, this is the last time Saturn was in your sign. So this is the 30-year karmic contract. This is especially relevant if you're a Cancer rising. If you are Cancer sun or moon, this is when you sign that contract with the 0-degree conjunction that initiated it. So it going through Aries is 270 degrees completion. It's important to factor in this type of stuff, especially if it's in your 10th house, which is completing the cycle. All right, 270 degrees of completing that cycle. So if it's the moon, what should that feel like? If it's the sun, what are you going to be aware of? If it's the rising, where is that playing out in your life? You are being aware of completing everything, Saturn of totality, you started since 2003. Actual facts. So if we fast forward to right now, where now Saturn is 1 degrees, we know that, of course, in 2020, appreciate you, Elisha, in 2033, Saturn is going to be back in Cancer with Uranus. 2003 to 2032, 2033. All right, give or take, that's 30 years, baby. So this 7-year run is conclusion. And that's where now you're expanding this new embodiment, right, of who you are. Great question. North Node, great question. For the North Node, it's completing what Saturn constructed in your destiny. Different planet transits to the nodes activate different currents or contracts, we can call. So you're completing, we could say when Saturn's on your North Node, it's constructing a new karmic path to align your destiny with karma through challenges and integrity tests. So you're completing that last round of integrity tests before it comes back around. And you can say that to whatever planet, right? The Earth is a tuner and hummer of low electromagnetic waves, ELF waves. Okay. I just forgot what that really, yeah. But basically, all the planet, and I learned this from a physicist. So a physicist was actually able to show how planets tune, or planets, of course, emit frequencies, and the Earth tunes these ELF waves in a sense where, I think the military has tested the influence of waves on people, but like you could theoretically postulate that someone born under a Mars on their rising had those waves, of course, resonant when they were born. And I'm going to do a special video to go into that in a way that doesn't sound vague. And I'd hopefully love to reach out to this physicist to interview him more about it. But low electromagnetic frequencies. Basically, the Earth hums and tunes that based on it's actual real physical basis of why astrology is as accurate as it is. And he made that video in response to, I think, some physicist or psychologist saying that astrology is all cognitive bias, which is just very rubbish to assert that astrology isn't a science, because the only people who say that have no actual experience reading charts or studying charts. So the physicist had to put them in their place and be like, it's not cognitive bias. I'm a physicist. It's actually ELF waves. So I'll go into it. It's actually very, very, very amazing. Is there cognitive bias in astrology? There's too much cognitive bias in astrology readings. But there's also cognitive bias in legal proceedings. There's cognitive bias in medicine. There's cognitive bias everywhere. It existing like it doesn't mean that that's why astrology is bullshit or that's how astrology works, unless you actually didn't read charts for a living. And like you could say that. But that being said, yeah, Saturn and Neptune making this angle to Cancer in your first house is completing your legacy. And the purpose of Saturnian construction, integrity tests it. The 2.5 years it goes through your house is like a standardization testing. If we're going to create a vehicle, we need to put it through, and I know nothing about creating a vehicle, but we're going to put it through a series of tests to make sure it's ready to be consumed by the public, right? So you're doing that for your career, okay? Now, last year, the North Node went through Aries. So you have unlocked your destiny. If we actually look, last year, the North Node was in Aries. In fact, the beginning of this year was. The last 2 years, the activations of the sun and planets through these points activated and unlocked your legacy. Meaning, you were given a new 20-year contract. You had the Inspector Gadget thing, like, hey, here's your mission over the next 10.5 years. Boom. This is everything you have to do this year in order to move in the original direction of what you're supposed to. And what did that look like? The last 2 years, you might have been like Curtis Jackson, who started his own production company, which is very legacy. Like he's an individual that's starting something like that. People start stuff all the time, right? But like, I'm using that as an example because all the stuff that you were meant to do, Saturn is coming through to solidify it for the next 30 years. It's a 30-year contract. So you're going to be tested with power. You're going to be tested with responsibility. You're going to be tested with what you do in positions like that. You're going to have to face trials of people trying to disparage your reputation, of what kind of integrity that you have once you have now put yourself in a position. And because Aries is independent and Aries is individual, this is you maintaining self-defined authority. So you got yourself there. Very important. Even if you're working with a team or whatnot, it's your face. You're the face of it. Okay. So yeah, Neptune is reimagining this for a literal new age. And it's going to dissolve a lot of the old traditions and bounds that come into one in this position. All of this is very important because now Jupiter in Cancer is simultaneously expanding who you feel you are. Now that you are constructing this completion of your karmic path and legacy. Okay. So that tension there from who you are evolving into to what you're accomplishing has to honor the integrity of what you have built, but also not constrict you to not feel these new clothes and really step into this next era of your life. So that's very important to understand, because now that we're in Leo season, you're quite literally manifesting this very bold and courageous expression and definition of your worth and value. We've made it from the 10th house to the 2nd house. This social integration. You're the first zodiac sign, by the way, with social value. Okay. Libra has social value. With Scorpio, they got the sauce. Virgo has superpowers. With Libra, Virgo's main relationships or money is relationships with other people. And the reason why they thrive at that is because they have their 2nd house in a social sign, or the social sign is like 30 degrees from, whatever they have that's next to it. So now Cancer is emotions. When they perform their feelings and boldly, of course, with royalty, express that worth. What example is, music, multimedia, apps or whatever, or digital media or graphic design, or however the fuck. It's really just this passionate energy. This is what allows them to monetize their passions. And this is really just, it's not even so much about like how to make the money as much as Cancer is going to be very prideful about what they're worth. Okay. Archetypally. So the actions you've taken to unlock and establish this original legacy are now translating into the awesomeness you feel cashing out. 2nd house transits are cash out transits. Mercury is retrograding in your 2nd house. So you are quite literally reevaluating your own thoughts around what you're worth. So let's really think about that, because if you just began to evolve over the past 2 months into the next stage of your life, and you're seeing that you are completing your legacy and you're coming into accomplishments, right? It's very common for when Saturn goes into one's 10th house, they achieve accomplishments relative to the goals they worked hard for. For Will Smith, when Saturn was over his MC in Aquarius this past year, he got the Oscar. For LeBron James, when Saturn was in Pisces on his MC, he won an ESPY. You can actually like research this and look these things up, which is why it's preposterous to say that this isn't a science. But the people who say that don't do research like this or would even know what to look for. But it's cool because it's your turn, Cancer. And now you are coming into the culmination, for better or for worse. This is karma. People are going to have their opinions. But now that you are, of course, with this tension breaking through into this, your understanding of what you're worth is actively going to shift. Yesterday's price isn't today's price. You've heard the saying. So this is all about bringing out your balls on the table and like hair flipping and laughing at anybody who really does not respect your magnanimous accomplishments. And when you say that it's $1,000 extra and they say, what? You laugh in their face like, ha 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 ha. Yeah, I said what I said, bitch. I'm sorry. You want to say it just like that, but like I had to channel that. You have to actually laugh in their face. And then what's also interesting is Pluto is in Aquarius, which is 8th house of other people's money. So every year for the next 20 years, especially if you're a Cancer rising or progressed, the 8th house activation on Pluto is awakening supernatural boundaries. All right. Very extreme pressure with people who are liable in a collective sense to juke you for what you're worth and to take advantage if you do not stand your ground and laugh at people's faces, whether they mean well or not, who argue with your price, who argue you coming at it from a Leo position. So this could look like investment. The courage you have, invest knowledge into the collective, right? It's a detached sense of how you have to deal with people so that you can honor this in a brave way, what you're worth in a very passionate way. Water signs have, of course, fire in their earth houses, which enable them to really thrive on more creative fields because they're doing what they're passionate about. So the more passionate you are about what you're doing or what you're worth, literally the more money you come into. So you draw these boundaries, and now everything you've invested since this January, this is the first payout. And this is a really good way to see this, Cancer. Every year for the next 20 years, you're putting in an investment, and then every August, you're coming into a lump sum payout. It's like you put in, boom, you harvest it for the next 3 months in the form of increased energy, in the form of money. And starting next year is going to officially begin after the sun conjunct Saturn in Aries and Uranus in Gemini. It's going to now translate a new era of this. So this is a sneak peek because as Saturn retrogrades back into Pisces, this is going to really kind of help you structure your belief systems and the philosophical approach of what you believed moving into March of this year versus now that we're coming back into September, analyzing how these philosophies impacted your mindset. Okay, so this eclipse is going to be major for you. I didn't mean to spend this much time. I just wanted to get through a lot of foundational talk that I'll apply to the next signs. But Leo season is really about dropping your nuts and not compromising for what you're worth, seeing initial returns from the work you've done to establish your career goals since April, okay? And then tying that through the end of the year where by Sagittarius season, what you are now manifesting and establishing, you're going to see and create a lifestyle and routine around to bring it back into Aries after the eclipse in March, and then really establish this 30-year contract of your new legacy. Okay. So yeah, it's actually a really, I have Jupiter in Cancer and Pluto in Scorpio, but yeah, I don't really do emotion like that. Like even when I try, like I'm very robotic. It's because the Saturn's on my moon in Cap, so it's more. I feel like I just don't use a lot of the water that I have. But I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah, so this is a really great season to come into a lot of returns. And right now, the moon's in Scorpio. So you're integrating this avalanche of liquidity or really money you're going to come into. And then once we come into the full moon in about a week from now, to the end of the transit, it's going to be exponential, your potential for income. So you're either coming into unexpected windfalls of income now or over the next 3 months. It's going to start now. And you're either going to get it now or you're going to understand what to do to get it in a new way, a new perspective. So get excited. I think the best thing you do is get excited about what kind of money you want to be making, how confident you are in dealing with others, how you let people play you or not. Because of course, why would you let people play you? All right. Scorpio is not as evil as people be saying they are. They just have a dark reputation. Someone just said they are. Okay. You do readings or something like that? I'm glad you asked, Milk Money. I would like to announce that I have a special reading sale right now. Okay. Um, Not a special reading sale. I would like to announce that I have some new readings. So for those of you who, of course, would like a supernatural breakthrough reading and a tarot reading, I have new $30 and $20 readings. Okay. So the supernatural breakthrough report, of course, I'm going to look into the sun's transit from Leo to Scorpio. We're basically going to look at this sun opposition to Pluto to its completion. And when you get this report, we're going to look at it in your chart and we're going to show you what you're breaking through. Like if you are an Aquarius rising, then we're going to show you how, as an Aquarius rising, you're breaking through a new era of relationships and your ability to awaken this new celestial personality to in your new age of Aquarius for a celestial world. We're going to kind of highlight what that's going to look like through Virgo with the eclipse, what you're going to do in Libra, and what that's preparing for you to complete. And then we're going to pull a tarot card so we can get a final message through that. So it's really good if you want to know what supernatural talents and abilities you're breaking through. I do have a discount code. If you use the code HARVEST, I think the code is HARVEST, then you're going to get $5 off. Now, for those of you who have a soulmate in mind, I do have a soulmate archetype tarot reading. Okay. So this is platonic, romantic, work relationship. Basically, I do get, a lot of inquiry about, oh, what about this person? What about that person? What do you think about this person? What do you think about that person? Well, like, I can pull 3 cards and I'll just pull the archetype. If you have someone who you think you have a connection with, if you have someone you're working with, you want to see what their mindset is about you, I'm going to pull 3 cards, one for you, one for them, and one to see the energy of the situation. And we'll just divine it real quick cartomancy. Then we'll pull another card to see what the future of that is. You can now get another reading if you want other confirmation, or you can see if it resonates with what you think you know. And yeah, that's $20, $5 off if you use the code HARVEST. And I'm going to have this available for the rest of the season, probably coming into Scorpio season. So for those of you who want that, go to my website, thepeacedealer.com. Now, my bad, Instagram, I completely forgot. I thought you were live. So you missed all of Cancer. We're starting from Scorpio. Any easy way to pay, please go to my website. I highly recommend go to my website. I do have multiple different payment methods. Going to my website really just helps everything kind of be scheduled properly and to, of course, itemize everything. Okay. If, of course, there's processor issues, just feel free to email me and I totally got you. So, yes. It's time to talk about Scorpio, guys. What the fuck? Oh. Scorpio. Well, I think what's very unprecedented about this period for you, Scorpio, is we know you're getting ready to complete an evolution cycle. If you're a Scorpio rising, this is your rising star year. Rising star year is an archetype I like to say when I didn't make it up, but when like Jupiter transits through your 9th house, I like to call it the rising star year. It is a period right before it goes to your 10th house of accomplishments that you start to come up, right? You start to be a heat seeker. You start to perform feats that raise your name or kind of put you in a higher prominence and standing. And then boom, you complete the cycle. I went through something like this during 2020 or 2021, where I was able to see a dramatic increase in people supporting or kind of putting what I'm doing. And it's just very easy to see in people's lives. But yeah, this going through Cancer is preparing you for the Leo revolution. Okay. You're going to have Jupiter in the South Node in your 10th house. So this is going to unlock like a boatload of success for you. But the purpose of this is to now unlock this very supernaturally extreme revelation of, it's almost like a nuclear bomb is being let off in your private world, so that you can completely, over the next 20 years, really restructure who you trust, who you keep close to you, but also it's awakening this cosmic family. It's very weird to talk about fourth house Aquarius, the Scorpio archetype. The nature of that is, we talked about how Aries is Cancer's 10th house. Well, Scorpio is wisdom. The fourth house is where you rest. It is the conditions with which you feel comfortable, right? So Scorpio representing wisdom finds its home in Aquarius. Aquarius is knowledge. Wisdom finds its home in knowledge, okay? A knowledgeable foundation that could take extremely intense emotions through Scorpio that could be irrational and rationalizes them through knowledge, all right? In fact, this is outside of rationalization. This fourth house Aquarius is why Scorpio is psychic on a supernatural level, on like a super psychic level. This will represent understanding hidden knowledge through psychoanalysis that is usually bang on and accurate. This also represents, if you notice, Aquariuses are really good at exposing private secrets of Scorpio that put them in a very compromising light. That has just a lot to do with their dynamics, right? It's kind of like with Scorpio and Leo, and then with Leo and Taurus. But Aquarius understands Scorpio. Aquarius allows Scorpio to feel at home. Now, what that really means is wherever Scorpios can be their weirdest self, or really wherever they can like not just be eccentric, but like express what they know and people actually understand it, they feel at home. That was really stupid, because it's really hard to describe Aquarius. So for example, I can say that Cancer finds its home in Libra, right? Cancer is a water sign of your sincere emotions. So Libra is balance, it's fairness and justice. Cancer is going to feel home in social spaces where they are free to feel their emotions and feel balance with their emotions, to actually, of course, integrate what they feel in a balanced space, in a very not unfiltered, but protected. I don't even want to say protected. Once we get to Aquarius, though, it's out of this world. And that's what makes Scorpio, to me, like an eldritch being. I'm sorry, to me, like not human. But that being said, a zodiac sign isn't human or not. I'm conflating a lot I'm using a lot of nuanced language when I say that. But of course, Scorpio having the fourth house with Aquarius is also going to represent who they feel comfortable with sharing private and secret knowledge. Okay. Now, obviously, anybody who feels comfortable with you is going to want to share secret knowledge. So this isn't something that is specific to Scorpio. I'm not saying that, oh, if you're a Scorpio, you're going to feel comfortable sharing private knowledge and other signs aren't going to. No, their focus is going to be more on, of course, hidden familial knowledge. They're going to have, I'm going to say have a better or worse understanding, but it's going to come to them, right? But I think what I'm really wanting to say is water signs are not who you think they are. Okay, Scorpio, the image Scorpio puts in public, which applies to everyone, right? Well, not to everyone. Virgo's a realist, but the image Scorpio puts in public versus how they basically when this is why it's hard to put in words. When Scorpio goes home, they take their mortal flesh suit off and they're alien. They speak alien. Like there's this out of this world quality, or we could say in a realistic sense, progressive or knowledgeable quality, right? Or eccentric quality that really kind of now will constitute this fourth house psychology. And then Scorpio is a social sign. Aquarius is a collective zodiac sign. So this also will represent a cosmic family, right? It's through loyalty, being able to connect with the most unlikely of people. These explanations aren't necessarily doing it justice. But the reason why I want to talk about it is Pluto in your fourth house is a big deal. Pluto in the fourth, it hits people a lot deeper than so many other transits. I mean, it hits everyone deep. But let's go back to Libras from 2008 to 2023. Like a lot of, if you think about issues Will Smith has had relative to his image, people will point to his family as a reason for why his image might be tarnished. I'm not saying that that's true or not. A lot of shit is nonsense. They'll talk about attributes of his character. Oh, he's Corey or blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people will just bring up his family. That is what Pluto through the fourth looks like. It brings up hidden stuff that could be scrutinized to the public or for you to really confront personally. It's not even a bad thing. It can bring up really amazing things that completely awaken the way you redefine your trust, or it can bring up very terrifying things. But for Scorpio, now this is out of this world. Okay. So, yeah, there's the idea that there's like extraordinary knowledge that will continue to awaken as you like completely like purify or transform your living situation and where you feel you belong as a result. But why that's important is where you rest at home determines the foundation of the approach for your 10th house, where you go out for your career. Because once your job is over, where do you go? You go back home. So that's the connection between the 10th and the 4th house. So they're very detached in this home space so that they can put their entire heart into what they do, hence being very passionate about what they do. This is opposite from Taurus. Taurus is going to be very passionate at their home space. They're going to be singing in the shower so that they're very detached at the work. Yeah, I'm the boss. What's up? Yeah, you feel me? That's not to say there aren't passionate Tauruses, right? And that's not to say there aren't whatever Scorpio, but I'm just giving you the archetype here. Because in order to understand this evolution that you're going to complete next year, this 4th house quality of Pluto that's breaking through is taking the 20-year activation cycle of the sun on Pluto in your 4th house increasingly every year, right? And it's going to now break deeper ground so that you can achieve more success. So every August of every year for the next 20 years, that breakthrough from Pluto, your boss battle, is how do private issues get in the way of your public persona, or how do they help? This is your phase of this. And ultimately, destruction is a form of purification. Ultimately, the reason why this is very amazing for you is this is going to break new ground for you to enjoy more of your success. But if you have snakes in your circle, if you have moles in your camp, if you personally have bad blood with people in your family, if people who are private in your life are not trustworthy to you, all of that is going to come up. All of that are going to be plot points as to how that gets in the way of the success you're achieving or not, obviously. But just keep that's a theme that's going to intensify over the next 20 years. So this Leo season with Mercury reevaluating is you reevaluating your goals, reevaluating, of course, now that you're coming in to expand this psychic or emotional philosophy, Cancer 9th house, but this more like emotionally mature, intelligent scope of where you feel you're going since 2018, where Saturn last went through Scorpio, and how you are harvesting this breakthrough to guide this feeling towards the throne. Because let's talk, the 10th house Leo is you returning to the throne. And this is going to be an amazing set off. So you don't necessarily want to get thrown off ahead of time, especially with Uranus in the 8th. That's going to create unexpected windfalls of income for the next 7 years, but can also really fuck up your finances if you're trusting the wrong people. So Pluto is going to really bring these dynamics up in a way that only you can discern psychoanalytically. Mars in your 11th house, right? And thank you. Mars and the South Node in your 11th house is preparing to unlock your talents, because the North Node going through your 5th is a destiny cycle that can actually unlock independence where you're living off of your own talents, or you're able to just do what you want creatively. Does it always break through like that? It doesn't have to, but it does offer the opportunity because it went through your 6th. So it already unlocked your lifestyle. And that's where Saturn and Neptune through your 6th house over the next 2.5 years for Saturn is pouring cement on your routine and lifestyle. So the North Node unlocked the lifestyle you're destined to live, the routine and your behavioral patterns that you establish. And this is where astrology isn't making you do this. So this is just what happened during this period. Over the past 2 years, you took individual actions to define your behavioral patterns that update every year. But the way you behaved the past year and a half is now going to have cement poured on it. You are destined to take action relative to how you live your life, with in Aries is individual. So you're more akin to want to do some work on your own, even though you're collaborative and you're social, right? This is more your own individual routine. This is more your own excitement and I don't say recklessness, but originality. You have the original OG lifestyle. Okay. So you unlocked it, everything you were meant to do. You are now being tested on maintaining integrity of that. So factors in your lifestyle, bad habits, bad eating, all sorts of health issues are going to come up because the Reaper is coming through your 6th house. So the Reaper can murk you through your health. That's a good way to look at Saturn through the 6th. Saturn through the 6th is, if Saturn could kill you, what do you have to get right so that you don't give it the opportunity? When Saturn goes to the 6th, if your health is abysmal, you'll die. You're going to give Reaper permission to kill you, or it's going to bring up all these health issues because, like, look, you deal with it or I will. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it'll do that. So this is a good transit to structure and discipline your lifestyle. Ask Virgo. Virgo and Libra just went through this since 2021 and 2023 to 2023 to 2025. Virgo through Aquarius and Libra with Pisces. And what do I say about after you go through that transit? You can drop any of them anywhere in the world with no money, and in 2 weeks, they'll be able to get a job. That's what Saturn through the 6th does. It completely disciplines your routine and your ability to sustain work. That's why 6th house is the work house. So, the pure royalty is going to establish their own independent work, right? And Saturn in the 6th is going to be really good for some of you who want to be self-employed. This is going to be really good for some of you who want to have full ownership around the work you do. You don't want to have people dictating how it is you do your work. And then Neptune is reimagining this. So similar to Pisces, you're going to be able to imagineer this original life of your dreams that no one else is living but you. And this is where it's going to dissolve all sorts of previous rhetoric and theoretical models around what's possible or not in your life. You have super psychic power. You're literally psychological super strength. You can ask Libra, because now that Libra is retrograding Saturn back into their 6th, this is the deadline to have you created your dream life, because it's going to move forward with or without you. Okay. And I can confidently say that compared to 2023, I think most Libras are living their dream life. If that Libra is not living their dream life or Libra rising, they made excuses, right? They didn't necessarily buckle down and put in the work, or they weren't really clear on what that dream is. I'll give you one example of a Libra rising. Kendrick fucking Lamar. I think he living the life of his dreams, selling out stadiums. Like, you can go to it doesn't mean it's not going to be difficult, because Saturn is discipline. It's going to be very rigorous. It sounds like get rich and tell no one. I mean, hey, you said it, not me. So this is really cool. You're going to have Saturn going through your 6th. You're going to be disciplining this. You're going to have Jupiter going through your 10th South Node, unlocking 10 years worth of work and just expanding the opportunities you can outreach. It's Gucci. Okay. This is very, 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 very beautiful. And you just don't want to necessarily let trusting the wrong people, of course, obviously, get in the wrong way. But mainly ask yourself, now that the sun is in Leo, how is the work you've done since April to define these behavioral patterns applying in your career? And that's what Mercury retrograde wants to reevaluate, because you've already since April activated this new lifestyle that in October you're going to release unconscious patterns around how you act with people. Basically 6 months of doing a new workout regimen. How does that change your relationships with people, right? So Leo is, now that you have this new routine, let's say 6th house, you decided, you know what? I'm only working 6-hour weeks. I only have a 6-hour work week. And you are able to now work a 6-hour work week with the supply and demand that you have. And now you're in Leo season. What is the accomplishment of this? What was I able to make sustaining this routine? And that's where it's like, okay, do I want to change that? You're going to be thinking about when you come back around next year, Aries and Saturn's there. Do I officially want to do this? This worked well for me. This didn't work well for me. This is what I would do different. So this is how you use astrology instead of it using or influencing you. Even though that, anything is possible. All right. So yeah. This is also going to complete what you started last year, November. So you're coming into success, and then Virgo season with the eclipse is going to unlock these rewards just so that it could really integrate more mastery of your creativity and your imagination and who you're celebrating these rewards with. And, if they're cool peoples. And yeah, I was going to really say how you mind control people. And how you have a deep understanding of others' darkness and darkness in general, and you may not really be at liberty to explain to people why you might have to do seemingly dark shit because it would just make less sense. So there's a certain nature of Scorpio where they're okay with looking like the bad guy, even if they're not the bad guy. Unless they're actually the bad guy, okay? And that's definitely a dynamic. For example, you might, this is an extreme example, but you might let someone die, right? You might be in a position to save someone and let them die because they're a bitch to you. And people might think that you're very vindictive for that. But then later you find out that guy was going to shoot up a school. So were you really wrong? Do you know what I'm saying? You don't have time to explain to people well, look, I don't care. You feel me? And that's a very convoluted extreme example. And it's not limited to just your sign, but just really weird and strange dynamics like that. Especially with Uranus and Gemini, if you spend too much time trying to explain, you're going to really just waste time instead of just standing on what you have integrity to believe. Because, yeah, that's not too much. That's probably the average Thursday for Scorpio dominant. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to say regarding that. Last but not least, we're going to shout out to Akash. Shout out to you, bro. And shout out to Jacob's Towers and all you on Instagram. So last but not least, we're going to do Pisces. Okay. Pisces, you already know what it is as an elite spirit or an elite soul space. You're fucked. You're in a unique position. I'm not joking. You're in a unique position where you actually feel everything happening at all times. And whether you've been able to dull it out with Saturn, that it's so interesting with Pisces because you've gotten so used to your sensitivity that if someone was you for a day, they would faint and pass out. This is very important because Neptune is no longer in your sign. So since 2012, this disillusionment between boundaries and the separation between you and others is completely gone. It's not like you didn't know this before, but it's just more, you've surrendered more to your own belief in self, right? But now that's like being on laughing gas, right? That's at a subconscious level, not entirely being aware of the process that's occurring. So you may not necessarily be as fully aware of how much you have exponentially upgraded or leveled up or unlocked until now you're manifesting, or until now you're dealing with other people. What I mean by that, once again, especially now with Neptune that's out of your sign, it's like if people felt 50% of the sensitivity you feel on the average day walking through a moon and at room and through very intricate levels, you can feel everyone's energy, you can feel what they're feeling, almost like a collective sense that forms and shapes your beliefs and that you navigate through. If people were to feel just 50% of that, they would literally go insane. They would go cuckoo. They would go fucking crazy. Okay. Scorpio might love it, but like, you know what I mean? So you feel that like breathing. It's you have gotten so used to the feeling, you're having to recalibrate. Saturn and Neptune retrograding back in your sign is having to recalibrate this divine legendary process that's happened to you. And you might sense this in the way your aura is fucking people up. So this is why if you talk about, and that's what's difficult about being a Pisces. If Pisces were to naturally talk to you about what they see, you would, and rightfully so, think they're delusional. And Virgo will be opposite, just hating like they just make shit up. But Pisces rising, Pisces moon, I want you to comment fish if this is true. Basically, you're noticing specifically after like Neptune left Pisces, you can walk within someone's auric field and they do what you're thinking, or ooh, they start to get crazy. It's like you can see a causality between you being in proximity with someone and them starting to act super uncharacteristic, almost as if they're starting to be unhinged, almost as if like you can tell if they're pure, because it's gotten to a point now where it's like the people who you can trust don't react like that. The people who you can't trust react like that. It's like you've transcended the nature of your field, and it's not necessarily anything that's new. You've probably had elements of this your whole life, but I think for those of you commenting fish, and for those of you who are kind of noticing this causality or influence with your aura, right? That's because you're not necessarily aware of how seriously you worked on your aura to the point where it's like you got used to it like a fish that may not know it's in water. So now other people are really feeling the effects. And because this is unconscious, they're not going to process that your aura came into my space and whatnot. Like this is at a metaphysical level. This is at an astral realm level, or in the physical. In the physical, it's invisible, right? So this is where people aren't going to know why, but you're that in the 12th house, witnessing a collective experience that you're probably only aware other people are psychic can feel. Some people are psychic. They're going to feel that it's you, right? Pisces rising, Shalakash, once again. So you embody this vibe. Pisces sun, you're emitting it through your spirit. You're like fucking people up with your spiritual and conscious awareness. And then if you're Pisces moon, your soul is this invisible space that, you know, you can sense people's reaction to, or you can be more receptive to this ESP. Now, let me be very clear. ESP is not recognized by science. ESP is recognized as pseudoscience. It's recognized as fantasy. That's why I want to be very careful talking about this. Science is not yet caught up to Pisces. And really, science will only ever catch up to Aquarius. Aquarius is science. It's seen as sci-fi right now because it's a futuristic sign, but it will only ever match up to Aquarius. It's magic that will catch up to Pisces, or magic that is Pisces. So like, as far as ESP, you guys are the only ones who know you have it. I don't have to convince Pisces rising sun or moon that you are at ESP. In Aquarius, you have ESP. This is why Aquariuses are celestials. They're geniuses. They have extrasensory perception, and they have the level of delusion to innovate current constructs and believe in stuff that don't exist yet. That is a supernatural, elite, God level quality. So whether you embody it, you are the spirit of it, you have the soul of it. That's why I go in on y'all, right? You have ESP, like you have a fully functional, consciously integrated or soul understanding model of ESP. It's extra sensory perception. You're able to perceive stuff that can align with your brain's critical processing and inductive reasoning, but you have to understand that that facet of you is not recognized. A majority of people are not going to necessarily understand. So you are quite literally, okay? And Sophia, it actually is on YouTube. So if you go on YouTube, we are live here on YouTube right now. But and then you can kind of go back, but I will also have the replay as well. But that being said, you're manifesting the nature of this effect. Let's say it's an RPG, it's an area of effect, your own aura. Okay. And the North Node is unlocking you. That's the most important part, too. 10 years since the North Node was in Virgo, you're going through an unlocking ritual that Aries went through. For Aries, it was everything they're meant to do. Pisces, for you, you're at the elite level. It's strictly vibes. It's strictly vibes. It's just belief. Your belief in yourself. It's actually to the point, especially when Saturn retrogrades back, your belief in yourself determines the fate of the entire universe. No biggie. And the entire collective around you. And that's why it's very stressful to be Virgo or to be Pisces. Like Virgo's going to carry a society, right? But Pisces has these very hidden realizations that it's hard to really express to other people who understand, while still having to feel and be sensitive to so much vibes of other people, because you're the divine mirror. So the reason why I have to paint it like that, now that Leo is integrating everything in your sixth house, this is your workout house, right? You can work out all year, right? But Leo is going to represent the creative integration of this belief in yourself that harvests in Virgo through now taking everything about who you believe you are and demonstrating it towards other people and analyzing other people, right? Understanding the detail of your relationships with other people. So let's go through that. Pisces is your first house, your belief in yourself. You manifest original value. So you apply this belief in yourself to take individual action to manifest your worth, which is why you have to be very raw and unfiltered about what you're worth. And then Taurus is your third house. So you have a natural mindset that enables you to ground the divine being you are through your five senses. Now, as a belief, Gemini, or as a beyonder, as a divine being, Gemini of truth or Gemini of enlightenment rests the foundation of belief. So our mindset is the foundation of what we believe, right? If I have beliefs, then I'm going to be at home with the thoughts that I have, because if the thoughts that I have are not aligned, my beliefs will not rest on anything. And I need my mindset to be on point so that I can turn it into reality. Virgo. Virgo is now the analytical, critical expression of the beliefs about myself that I really show. That's the integrity line of Pisces, from imagination to reality. And the vision, Sagittarius being the 10th house, Pisces has the best legacy. Sagittarius is their 10th house. That's the vision that takes the belief that you're seeing the meaning of, based on a mindset. So that's why Jupiter and Gemini was very important, because you could have moved during this period. You could have expanded your inner home. But what you did was you evolved your mindset as Saturn went through your rising. And now you have so much more responsibility. You have so much more authority of who you believe you are. Shout out to Vibe Music Time. Than who, shout out to the Trap Witch. You have so much more embodied authority of who you are now than you did 2023 when Saturn originally entered your sign. So now Jupiter is expanding how much you have to evolve your comfort zone and get out your own comfort zone and think thoughts that support this authority. Otherwise, it's going to implode on itself. Now it's going through Cancer. You're going to evolve your talents again since 2013, and this creative expansion of how you express your feelings to direct your beliefs, is going to enhance anything from romance to what you love to do. But now Leo is the 6th house that I like to say it's a Disney axis, because you have imagination and love and creativity, but it's this creative integration to now socially define courageously how you believe in who you are and you express who you believe you are. So you're tying everything since March. And what do we know about March? That was the eclipse that began to unlock your divinity. And why this is very important, I'm so grateful for all of you guys who are resonating with this, because you have to understand, like, you're one of the 4 antisocial signs. Antisocial doesn't mean you hate people. It doesn't mean you're antisocial. It doesn't mean you're asocial, but you're opposite Virgo. Your Aquarius is opposite Leo. Aries is opposite Libra. Taurus is opposite Scorpio. These are the 4 of the zodiac signs that will always get accused of being selfish, right? They're going to really look more towards to self or outside of what these social expectations are. So a lot of you are supposed to run counterculture. A lot of criticisms you're gaining in integrity of you standing for who you believe you are actually really good. And no, Virgo will love Pisces, and Pisces will love Virgo when they're aligned, right? When they're not trying to tear each other down, when the facts confirm the beliefs, right? And the beliefs guide the facts and complete the reasoning. So why this is once again very significant, you answer the question why, but like a lot of these antisocial proclivities are either really now, like if the North Node was in Virgo, you would have to depart from that. You would have to really abstain and compromise from what you believe in favor of analysis towards what other real people are picking up from you. But no, North Node and Pisces is saying, I said what I said, like this is who I believe I am. Saturn went through your sign so that you have to establish integrity of these belief systems that play out through you. So if you say you're what you say and you're not, you're going to be seen as a fraud. But you're departing from social expectations and how you interface in these relationships to move forward in favor of who you're meant to become. Okay. So a lot of that pressure that's going to really come back to define the totality of all this authority you are embodying. And let's just keep it a buck, divinity. Like you do sit at the pinnacle. Like you are beyond the pinnacle here. This is divinity, right? Leo is now integrating all of that since March to prepare for the eclipse, where you're going to break through and apply all of that to other people. All the people are talking shit. Yeah, it's over. But that being said, it's going to really unlock and break through what relationships are meant to support who you believe you are. This is exceptionally important if you are dealing with people who are in contrast to that, who positively or negatively are challenging that belief to help sharpen it. Once that Virgo season comes through, if they are not able to support the integrity of who you are believing you are and becoming, they're going to be cut. The South Node is going to cut them. Like it's getting ready to establish relationships you're meant to be in with people over the next 5 to 10 years. So there's all sorts of people you're destined to meet. It's a very unique period. Mars, that's in your 7th house right now, has been having you assertively take action with other people and deal with people who, you know, at most will just throw a Greek alphabet at you and act like they're over you because they feel macho or they don't know that they're a bitch yet. So basically, this Leo season is all about how creative and fun is your routine, right? There's the discipline to buckle up and make sure that the way you live your life is sustainable, but how much fun are you having? Especially relative to now this Saturnian transit through your 2nd, that's going to establish your own money. That's going to establish your own worth. It's going to really take a really judgmental, critical look on your own self-esteem and make sure it reflects in this evolution of your talents to make sure that neither are strained or stifled. Okay. And yeah, this Leo season, when Jupiter goes there in Leo, it's going to evolve your lifestyle. So now the boss battle for you, I think, is the most diabolical of all, because Pluto in the 12th house in Aquarius First of all, 12th house in Aquarius is one of the most diabolical 12 houses that you can have. Okay, let's just keep it a buck. And a lot of people will never really understand that about you, because now this could potentially be paranoia and isolation and loneliness at a celestial level that is out of this world. So a lot of the phenomena that you'll experience, you can't see. And it's easy to diagnose psychosis when a lot of the times you're being mercilessly trolled. And now mortal beings and human beings aren't really going to give you the advice that you really need. And that same collective influence can possess these mortals that are trying to help you. And now it's like you're being trolled within a troll that adds to your psychosis. So Pluto going through the 12th is purifying and permabanning this unconscious denial of your own divinity. Any part of yourself that still needs proof, any part of yourself that still needs, you know what I mean, like confirmation about the divine realization of who you are, is going to be exposed, because this directly impacts how courageously you live your life. It directly impacts this breakthrough now with the sun opposition of how you're going to mold and build this routine, the work that you can do. Okay, specifically the work that you can do, because Leo in the 5th house, Leo in the 6th house is a Pisces rising. You're the divine being, so the work you do is strictly what's fun for you, right? Even if you're a desk clerk, when people work with you at the desk clerk office, they're I try to make beats. They're having fun. Yeah, like it's epic. It's lit, even if it's in a serious professional setting, right? Like this, there's no excuses. Saturn's also went through the 12th and has reaped a lot of these fears, these subconscious fears that are collectively induced. This also represents the responsibility of label, like there's paranoia that you'll know because it comes from fear, and then there's discernment that now highlights an understanding of an individual or collective beyond any scientific or knowledgeable understanding. So some of you are waiting confirmation on confirmation that can never come from people who cannot process what you can process. And so you might be ignoring warnings, thinking that you're being delusional, when this is just the way, irrational or not, that you're going to have to really protect you from certain threats. Okay. And then it's also a full-on awakening of the supernatural. Here's the last part of this. You are effectively building and breaking through a lifestyle creatively over the next 20 years that establishes the supernatural nature of your own unconscious mind. A lot of that is getting out your own way, because Pluto in the 12th is unconscious. This is in the house of hidden enemies. So now the hidden enemies, right, in this unconscious sense, could really induce paranoia. It could be very terrifying, especially when this is at a cosmic level. All right. But this is really just meant to have you surrender to the quality of yourself that doesn't need to know. You have to surrender to needing to know, because you are the expression of that knowledge. And this is what's good. This is a very good example, right, of like how you don't really need to know shit, and trying to know shit holds you back. Pisces, as a Gemini magician myself, you're the Pisces high magician. So like Aquarius is going to know beforehand, you know what I'm saying, like who the criminal is, right? Pisces, you're going to just run, right? And then you're going to drop your pen, and then your pen falls right in front of a suspect. You pick up the pen, you're like, you're the criminal, right? Virgo's going to be like, okay, well, this is how I know this person's a criminal. These facts, these details, you just had the intuitive hunch because your pen fell there and you were right. So it's like, that's an extreme example, but like in believing in yourself, the knowledge comes last. I'm not saying you need to really release and forgo, you know, traditional methods of conveying things. I'm saying believe yourself the first time, and then let that research confirm what you're doing, because these may now play out in life or death situations where you have nothing but your belief. But other than that, you're going to be creating this creative lifestyle, and then you're going to analyze how in Virgo season, your lifestyle impacts other people. You're going to gain great details around what about your behavior is changing the behavior you have towards other people. All right. And yeah, should be fun. You heard me. What the Oh, nice. Yeah, should be fun. Like I said before, you guys can purchase a reading. Genuinely though, like if you would really like to know what this 90-day breakthrough is, you know me, I'm gonna give you an actually good reading. I will break this down for you. Like if you want to know relative to Pluto, like where Pluto falls in your chart and why it's important over the next 3 months, I will look up your chart and then pull a tarot card. All right. And then if you want the soulmate archetype, right? And you want to know, right, your relationship between another person, I'm going to draw 3 cards and we'll see what we get for you, what we get for your partner, and the energy we get there. This could be a work partner. This could be someone you're curious about. This could be someone you're romantic about. It could be a family member. It is what it is. If you use the code HARVEST, you get $5 off. Okay. So let me know. Just doing my rounds. We have officially finished the tribe reports for the season. So the Fire Tribe report is going to be publicly available. Happy birthday, Leo. In order to, I really wanted to go in on y'all, but I was just feeling the vibes. I had to lock in because there's a lot of psychic attack and I didn't want to get distracted. Basically, if you want to catch the replay, if you're not a YouTube member, just go on my app and you can join the membership. You'll be able to access it there. I'll keep this video on for the rest of today, but by next week, it'll just be exclusive for that. Next week, we're going to do, it's all good, Roar Angel. Just join my app. Click the link below. Supernatural. All right. Tomorrow, we're going to do the cosmic energy tune-up. And then next week, we're going to do the tower readings. And guess what, guys? Next week, we're going to officially start airing the new programs. So I've been promising this for a while, but we're gonna move forward. Okay. So for all of you guys who've been supporting, thank you. Supporting really doesn't mean buying readings when I ask you to buy readings or just paying money. It's the daily viewership. For those of you who have my app for free, right? That you don't have to be a paying member to join the app. For those of you who have the app, I deeply appreciate you. For those of you who are subscribing or may subscribe for later, I deeply appreciate you. But we're going to keep growing this channel. And I just really thank you guys for tuning in. And we're gonna keep it pushing. And you guys stay blessed. And before we leave, let me just play one thing. I'm gonna just play some, of course. No way.
Supernatural is an app where you can access exclusive content from the Peace Dealer. On the app features 2 seasons of the Midheaven podcast featuring Beyond the Veil. We also have Mystical Illuminations Television, which features membership exclusive content like the monthly tribe reports and the replays of the monthly peace reports we do every month. We also have exclusive series like World War Zero and Astrological Profiles. These series are examples of content that you can access on the app before they are eventually scheduled to YouTube and other social media platforms. For example, my Planets Through the Sign series will be scheduled to release once a week. However, as they are uploaded on the app, you will have full access to the entire series weeks before any of them appear on any other platform. We also offer easily accessible and interactive courses like my Astro 101 to Astro 105 series that give you a thorough introduction to astrology. We will also be periodically adding courses, and as those courses are available, members will be able to access them. We also have an amazing community that you are most welcome to join and chat with other like minds. It is not necessary to subscribe in order to use this app, as there is also a free default access plan that will give you access to most of the series in the app that are free and publicly available. In order to join, go to the website supernatural.passion.io. You can alternatively download from the App Store passion.io. Once the app is downloaded and it asks to find an app, simply type in Supernatural. Once the app itself is approved by Google and Apple, you will only need to type in Supernatural in the App Store and it will pop up. But until then, those are two alternative methods you can use to join us. So with all that being said, I look forward to you joining us on the other side as you become supernatural.